the first CPCU Champion Hour. Let's go. Here we go.
We're talking about a lot of these things. We're talking about how to mentor.
File that under only the best decisions are made after midnight.
Right. That's right.
Your network is your net worth. Connect with someone.
New show, new intro, background under construction, same rock star people that you are familiar with. And what's best is two shows are now one. I am joined now, as usual, at the same time by Heather Blevins and Precious Norman Walton. What's up?
We're back, baby!
In the house! We're going to be bigger than U.S. Steel.
Jeez.
We are back, and I am happy to say that this show is now brought to you by not just volunteers of the Institute CPCU Society, but the Institute CPCU Society itself. What's up?
Yes. Amazing.
How does it feel to be official?
I feel like we need roadshow gear. We need the Champion Hour gear to
We've
be
been
all
validated
branded out right now.
There's definitely going to need to be some merch going on somewhere. We're going to need some swag. Some swag bags are going to have to be given out.
Agreed.
So it has been a minute. This has been like a crazy couple of months, kind of pressing the pause button on how to CPCU and sell like a CPCU, and putting this together and getting all I's dotted and T's crossed and things like that. Huge shout out to Spencer over at the Society for kind of quarterbacking this and helping us get this all kind of put together. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to be a little bit different in terms of the format. We've got some segments going and stuff like that. But just over the last month, what have you guys been up to? I mean, I've been dealing with some family stuff and things like that, but what have things been like?
Precious, I'll let you go first.
Oh man, where does the time even go? You're like, over the last, it's like, has it been that long? Well, I think the biggest thing is Into Risk. Hello, Orlando. That's where we've been. I mean, it felt more like a family reunion, I think, at this point. Just coming together, again, taking all the necessary precautions, of course, but just being in the presence of, just all of our colleagues that we've missed and catching up on, all the things that have gone on. So that was just, between that and the energy of being surrounded by new designees again. Taking us back to, that moment, right? Kind of where we were, how we felt, and being able to pass that torch and keep that fire lit, So, I mean, phenomenal speakers, amazing, networking and connecting afterwards. Orlando doesn't disappoint. So we hung out on the Disney property. We went over to the Universal Studios property, and so, I mean, it did not miss. And so I'm super excited that it was virtual as well, so that component, because as we continue to evolve and transition and, with varying, restrictions on travel and just personal comfort. But we did do the, on the badge where you're able to kind of indicate your comfort level. And so, people can be respected with wherever they are, with this. And so, yeah, I mean,
That's
I
cool.
just, can't, I had to get back into the habit of being around people.
Yeah.
So I think I've officially, I tell my family all the time, I think I've gone a little feral, right? They're like, oh, wait, I can't turn off my mic. Oh, wait, there's no turning off the camera. You're here. Oh, you can still see me. Oh, we're still here. Okay, yeah. So a little bit of that kind of takes a little bit of easing back into it. No, but
Sure.
overall, again, that was kind of my take. A lot of, reconnections. I went there to be completely transparent because I miss you guys, right? So I wanted to kind of, touch base with all the people that I've, grown to love so much over the years. But this new designee group, man, just really impressive, from the students who attended to, the different designees around the country. I really enjoyed, kind of their take on it, and their situation is very unique. We didn't complete our designation in a bubble.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just kudos to all of those that were able to balance, work and life and remote and all the things going on in the world, but still stay focused, to achieve a goal. So just phenomenal.
That's awesome. And we're definitely going to do I'm going to interview you two about InterRisk more in depth, and we're going to dig into it because I am super jealous because I wasn't able to make it. But
you were always there in spirit. We put your face up on the screen, and everyone, love and thoughts to you. So yeah, you were with us. You just weren't physically present.
Yeah.
We should have had like those fans made, like they have at graduation.
Yeah.
Like the, Matt is here.
I was entertaining the idea of getting some cardboard cutouts of my face sent to some people strategically beforehand, but yes. I couldn't pull it off in time. So before we get into that one, Heather, how's the last month and a half, 2 months been for you?
Oh, wow. It's just been a whirlwind. It feels like that InterRisk was a while ago already right now, even though it was only last month. And I'm still like grappling with all of the things that came out for me personally out of that. And I just echo everything that Precious said about that reconnection point. And I wrote an article on LinkedIn about it just because I needed to pour my heart out somewhere about.
Fantastic article if you haven't checked it out yet. About
like, I didn't realize how much I was really missing that whole human connection piece until the last several months. And it just hit me really, really hard. And I that disconnection feeling that I was starting to just feel because of the world that we're living in right now, and to get back in and to be reconnected with those people who like refill my cup every year was just absolutely incredible. And I will once again echo that the college student and new designee group, that college student group, they were on fire. They had such an amazing time, and they just were gushing to us about their experiences and what they got to get their hands into. Just being in that college world. So young minds are obviously very much of great importance to me. I know, life-wise, I've been super, super busy with, teaching that college class and living in the in-classroom experience too, which has been fantastic. But I still have to do that hybrid. So I have to live in a world of the hybrid. I have students who are in and out of class and everything. So I have to adjust for their needs and expectations on that. And but life's been consumed a lot with CPCU. I feel like CPCU is my third side hustle, pretty much, but it ends up on the top of the plate sometimes just because everything's rolling with it, and I absolutely love it. But cannot stress again how important it was to me to just make that reconnection point and to get a big old hug from Mike Caselny. Can't shout him out enough, because like we just saw each other there in the atrium the first time we saw each other, and he just pointed at me and I pointed at him. We just ran to each other and grabbed a hold of each other and was like, I can't believe that we're in the same place. So,
that's amazing.
And just shout out as well to Spencer and to Sharon. They did such a phenomenal job with just making sure that people understood like the whole purpose of this and the inspiration that we were to gather out of InterRisk. I walked away from that event just re-energized and re-inspired like I am every single year, ready to roll.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. All right. I'm going to have some specific questions for you. But before we get to that, like I said, new segments.
Yes.
So we're going to kick it off with Heather. And bear with us. We're like working out the kinks. Notice how I'm preparing everyone for my typographical error later on. This one is called Insurance News Minute.
Insurance News Minute of the week is definitely the absolute relaunch, co-branding, co-communicating, collaboration of how to CPCU and sell like a CPCU into the CPCU Champion Hour. We are so very excited to bring this to you, and we encourage all of you to tune in every single week to check us out and check out everybody that we're going to be interviewing on the show and everything that we're going to bring in. We guarantee you a jam-packed time enjoying this experience and really engaging with the CPCU Society.
That was awesome. That was like a sales pitch. I think we should ask for money afterward, but no, you don't have to pay us.
I was ready to sign up.
Let me ask you, you both. I'll start with you, Precious. What was your thought process, or like, were you excited or concerned about kind of the prospects of taking the two shows and kind of putting them together?
No, I think over the past couple of months, like Heather was saying, trying to figure out where your like CPCU energy and activity, kind of line up. And so the days that I'm not, I'm either in front of the camera or in the comments, one of the two. So I was already here for both shows anyway. So, but no, this is perfect. Getting a chance to, again, collaborate, right? Because 3 is better than 2. So no hesitation at all. Super excited for what this looks like moving forward.
Awesome. So Heather, same question. What was your thought process going into this?
I just thought it was like an amazing worlds colliding situation, because we know that we all drop into the other shows and everything, but it for me it's an opportunity to be able to take what we have done in the past and take it to the next level and really deliver on the society's promise for education and enlightenment and networking and just connection to the insurance industry as a whole. Absolutely love the fact that we are going this direction and cannot wait to see where we can take this.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the guest list, and I'm just like super pumped at getting, like, we had awesome people that we interviewed and brought on both shows. And both of them kind of had like a specific, perspective to them. And now we're going to like cross-mogenate, like, the leadership and the mentorship and the CPCU Society, like specific stuff with the sales and the marketing and the, entrepreneurial side hustle kind of insure techie type stuff that we were talking about on Sell Like a CPCU. I'm just looking at the like preliminary list that we have already, people interested and people that we had to be like, hold on, time out, we're doing a new thing. And thank you to all of our upcoming guests for bearing with us. But there's some fantastic names in that list. And then we're going to be putting together a list of like, pie in the sky, like, let's see if we can get these people on and talk to them about it. And that's going to be even, is awesomer a word? It's going to be even awesomer. It's going to be the awesomest.
Should be one of the hashtags. Yes.
Yeah. Hashtag it. So yeah, no, I think this was fantastic. I can say that I had a little bit of a reservation in terms of like, okay, we were kind of like doing our own thing. We were like, renegades in a way in terms of just kind of like running and gunning on our own. And we were worried that like, we were going to be, kind of bridled up and told like, whoa, slow down. And to again, Spencer's credit and everyone over at the society and the institutes included, they've been very open to be like, you know what, like run, like, be creative and kind of like, let's throw it against the wall and see if it sticks, so we're going to try some stuff, and it's going to be fun, and it's going to be some good times here. So, all right. Ready for the next segment? Now, this is going to be like a tag team. It's normally Precious's thing, but I think we're like going to kind of tag team this one. So I'm going to like step aside. But this is our first edition of CPCU Champion Hour upcoming events.
Man, it is that time of year, and I'm so excited that, of course, now in 2021, we're able to really lean into it. I think that, last year was really everyone's first iteration of trying to innovate more in this space. How do we continue to deliver relevant, just powerful content and allow people to engage, in a meaningful way, and do so that still, kind of held the bar for what we're known to do, which is putting together great content. That's the benefit of being part of the society. So I will just tell you that, for all of the varying reasons, and that's the beauty of having the chapters all around the country and the different interest groups and just different ways to tune in and really stay connected, so whether it's hybrid or in person or virtual, there's just a lot. And so you definitely want to tune in, because I think the fall is just historically that time of year, where the insurance industry as a whole, even beyond the society, gets together and really, finishes Q4 strong and, prepping for a big 2022. So Heather has her finger on the pulse, so I will yield and let her share some of the things we've got coming up here.
Yeah, absolutely, Precious. And I just want to give a shout out to every single CPCU chapter and interest group and everybody who is involved in the society, that you challenged yourself to be wildly innovative in 2020 and 2021, and you came up with ways to keep your people connected to very relevant, amazing content, and we didn't have any boundaries anymore. We weren't bound by local areas to be able to do things. So that was the incredible thing to me, is that we built on ideas that we didn't even know what we were doing with them.
That's good.
And the wild side of innovation has always got me like just supercharged and pumped up. But when it comes to events, we all know that I-Day is typically the month of November for most chapters. And there are tons of chapters out there that are continuing on for 2021 with virtual I-Days. So you do have options. Just going to give a shout out to my own chapter. Been working very, very hard with the Central Illinois chapter on developing out our I-Day content. There is a post on Interact, but what you're looking at right now on the screen is the webpage that's still a little bit under construction right now. So you're getting a sneak peek even before this has been released to the public. So late breaking news, it's all right here on the CPCU Champion Hour. You register right there, then you're going to register in Zoom as well. We have some dynamic content and speakers coming in. And I just want to highlight down towards the bottom of the page as well, our keynote speaker will be absolutely incredible. She is the epitome of adapting to adversity, which is our theme this year for the Central Illinois chapter. But you're going to be talking about cyber ransom, cyber stalking, innovation and catastrophe claims handling, usage-based insurance. All of these topics are out there. But our keynote speaker is Meg Johnson. She has an incredible story. And basically, the whole theme of her presentation is going to be around when life gets too hard to stand, just keep rolling. So
That's
little
awesome.
Teaser there. I would say everybody tune in. The sign up and the registration is at the top of that page, and we'll be going out very soon. But there is a link on Interact as well for this particular event, so that you can check it out and register there. Some of the other chapter events that are coming up as well. Precious, I'll throw this to you. It looks like this is for
Yes.
Dallas.
It is. So Dallas, we are super excited. Typically, timing wise, our I-Day has always been a kind of late summer event. So August is normally what we shoot for. When the year began, we completely were convinced that we'd be in a different place, with this pandemic than we are, currently. So to, err on the side of caution, we decided that we would pivot and move it from an in-person event virtually. But to your point, Heather, I love existing in this virtual space where we can do things that geography didn't allow us to do before, so we can tap into and really, pull in speakers from all around the country without having to, worry about things that are, cost prohibitive as far as travel and things go. So we designed it here in the Dallas chapter to really be kind of a hop in, hop out event. We spread it out over 2 days. There's an AM session and a PM session for each day. And so we were really intentional about trying to weave in emerging risks, some diversity, equity, inclusion. There's some CE courses. We have a presentation on cannabis. So the event is going to be free for active CPCU members, whether you're a Dallas chapter or belong to another chapter, as well as for the college students. And we have raffles, that we're going to have that, again, now that we don't have the overhead of a facility and a meal, we wanted to make sure that, we kind of reinvested some of that into the presentation. So registration is open. If you hop on our site, and do so. But that was really kind of the thought process in building it out. Now, of course, I'm totally jealous because the Central Illinois website is like beautiful. And so that may be something, and that's also as a chapter leader, an opportunity is it's almost like, I don't want to use the word trick-or-treating, right? Because I get so excited with all the different types of content being brought to the table here. But you get a chance to kind of visit, right? And kind of take away best practices and see what went over well. So absolutely, if you have the opportunity, and again, it's not a commitment, it's kind of hop in, hop out. So if there's a specific segment that, you have the time and the capacity to join us, we absolutely extend that invitation and welcome you to do so.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Boston chapter I-Day. Boston has moved the direction of doing an in-person event, so super exciting. It's going to be another, in-person CPCU reunion. That is coming up on November 18th. Will be held in the Boston area. So anybody that's interested in coming out for that particular event, I've been tapping on Boston's shoulder to say, hey, you're going to record your content because I'm actually part of this I-Day and getting to speak at it. Felt like privileged. I almost teared up whenever they asked me at Interest to be able to do this. So super excited about that. But Boston's an amazingly strong chapter. You can learn a whole lot from their methodology and how they handle their I-Day. It's been a great experience for me coming in as a speaker with them, and exciting for me. I have never actually been to Boston except to travel through an airport. So I'm going to be able to see a little bit of the city of Boston in the fall. So
there you go.
I am really, really happy about that. But there's this, coming up on November 18th, and I get to visit the insurance library, Precious. That's like,
yes. Yes. That in and of itself. You've got me thinking about checking out airline tickets later. I was like, is that a thing, traveling for I-Days? But
it might be. Hashtag travel for I-Day.
We'll travel. There you go.
Yeah, and the next thing that we have out there, obviously, I think the interest group road shows kind of were the birth of a lot of things, keeping the interest groups connected during the pandemic. So we do have that road show coming up for November. This one is going to knock your socks off. They are bringing in 7 insurtech firms from Israel to talk through a discussion about innovation and insurtech curiosity. I know that for me personally, I've really tried to learn about the insurtech space and how it connects into the insurance industry, and especially how many of the major carriers are leveraging insurtechs today to get products up to speed so much faster through their delivery systems. So this is going to be a lot of fun. It's coming up on November 4th. Time and everything is going to be in the flyer that's on the Interact post that you see on the screen right now.
Very cool. And that's what I love about these events. It really gives you that opportunity to kind of peek over the fence, right? Because depending on if you work for a carrier, a broker, an independent, adjusting firm, or wherever you kind of sit in the ecosystem, these things really kind of just keep you abreast of all the opportunities that are out there. Because who knows, one day you may decide to pivot or kind of explore or just to stay in the know. And so, I can't make a case against, the curiosity, the insurance curiosity, the lifetime learning that we've all kind of, embraced as CPCUs. And so, I mean, not just InsurTech, but, this particular group, this is going to be phenomenal. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And then we do have that member town hall that's actually coming up on November 17th. This is supposed to be, it's hosted, you see there on the screen, with Sharon and Chris and Brett and Spencer. So all the dynamos within the CPCU Society will be brought to you via that webinar. And I can't see the time on the screen right now. So
looks like it says 1 p.m. Eastern.
1 p.m. Eastern. So sign up for that. That's a registration that's actually out. And I believe that was included in the Membership Monday email that went out this week too. So if you're not getting those Membership Monday emails, connect with the CPCU Society. I'm going to throw out her name, Jessie Gaudio, if you want to get in touch with her. She can make sure that you are getting those Membership Monday emails, because they are jam-packed full of content about all the upcoming events, the go-getters that they feature in there. Just really good information, solid information on a weekly basis about the CPCU Society.
And I love that they continue to make themselves available, to the membership at large. And they're really genuinely, soliciting feedback. So it's really helpful to kind of hear some of the information that went into the decision making, but these are opportunities to really, ask the questions, right? Because, the vantage point is different depending on, where you're located, how engaged you are, or even if the feedback is, what you would like to see to become deeper engaged, right? So, this isn't just pre-recorded where they're, just kind of delivering a message to us. The purpose of these is so that it could be as interactive, and it's only as good as those who show up and lend a voice.
Yeah, definitely. I gotta say that IG. First of all, you all have 2 I-Days that are stacked, man. New Jersey's I-Day was just last week. The days are blending together now, but they had a fantastic program. I think the Boston I-Day program looks fantastic. Both Dallas and Central Illinois, you guys have a huge program set up. So regardless, I'm impressed, Precious, that you guys are going completely freebie. That's like incredible. That's
it's
like
all
a
about delivering
ton of value.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because, I think especially here, I can speak for the Dallas chapter that, getting together for our monthly meetings was really kind of the highlight of my month, right? Because we always had, a really good lineup of speakers and, to connect with one another and the things that we did with our community good works. I mean, we looked forward to that. And, with so many changes, because we're not going to underestimate the impact of job loss that's occurred during this pandemic, personal losses, there's just so many things. And so trying to find new ways to, again, deliver that value. And then that really lined up really well with the new vision for the membership expansion. So we really wanted this to be kind of an open house where we wanted folks who, may be interested in pursuing this to really come kind of get a feel for who we are. So spoiler, right? So I'm knocking on wood, like Heather said, this is really being put out there. One of the things that I challenged our board to do here in Dallas is we're going to do a Meet the Board video montage. And so I've asked everyone to kind of submit their own contribution. And the request was, we didn't want it to be the same, like, okay, let's gather on in a Zoom, unmute you for 90 seconds so you can read like what all the letters behind your comma mean. I'm like, let's have a little bit of personality, right? let's show people that we're not a monolith in the chapter, that we come from all walks and all employers and all experience levels. But then also, like, this is where you want to be for networking. So it's still coming together. I've had some people reach out to me like, you want me to do what? I was like, make it fun, keep it appropriate, make it fun, so that they can kind of see, again, just some of that three-dimensional, piece of who we are. And that's really going to be necessary moving forward to continue to grow, right?
Yeah. And I'll just say, Precious, that's an idea, and I'm probably just grabbed it because we have a chapter video. We have a chapter video that talks about our chapter and what we offer and connects people to the society as well. But it doesn't dig into who we are as people. Mm-hmm. And if you want people to be engaged with you in an insurance industry group, people have to know who you are beyond the title that feels monolithic with a chapter, especially. And you have to be approachable. So I love that idea. And Central Illinois, watch out.
Stolen.
Hey, I want to see this go viral. I want to see this, like, all the chapters get on board and say, hey, this is the equivalent of catching somebody in the foyer afterwards, right? And saying, hey, let me introduce myself. Let me shake your hand or fist bump or whatever we need to do. Let me invite you back. Let me help you kind of see where you may be able to fit in, to this big melting pot that we have. Because the more our chapter is reflective of the industry, the more appeal others, are going to want to, get involved. So that's the hope. I've gotten some feedback already. They're like, what am I supposed to say? And what am I supposed to do? I was like, like I said, man, get your, you have a camera phone. Cause that was the biggest thing, right? At first they're like, am I supposed to go into like a studio? Like, I was like, no. If you want to, have your dog on your lap, or if you're out in the park with a kid, or if you're skiing, whatever you do, like, let's make this more than just your typical elevator pitch.
Oh yeah. No, I would liken it to, like, have you ever been to like a networking event where you don't know anyone, right? And you're on like your best behavior, right? Like you're all prim and proper. You're all like firm handshake and eye contact and everything like that. It's a lot of small talk, right? Like you don't really kind of like get into very much like real life kind of like back and forth or anything. It's all, what do you do? Where are you from? That kind of stuff. And like eventually, like the second, third, fourth time you go and you know people, that's when you really start to have those conversations like, oh my God, the dog got out and like all these other things happened. And like, I need to find a chimney guy. Do you know a chimney guy? Like those are the conversations that actually result in relationship building and business and stuff like that. And we have to start having more of those conversations. I think a lot of us in the insurance industry get stuck in this, like, we're always reciting our resume to everyone. And it's like, who cares? Like, tell me who you are, right? Like, I mean, I can't remember what there was a movie or something like that where there's someone grilling one of the characters and they're like, who are you? And they're like giving all their attribute, like all their like accomplishments. They're like, no. I want to know who you are, not what you've done, and that is a huge deal. Like if you can get your board members to even kind of like crack that a little bit and kind of like you can peer in a little bit and a little bit of sunshine gets in, I think that would be a fantastic thing to kind of like humanize them. So no, I love that idea. All right. This is my segment. Be fully prepared to understand that I've rushed to put graphics together for this production. So there is a typo, and I'm pretty sure that they've already ribbed me mercilessly for it, but Heather and Precious will continue to rib me for it mercilessly. But here is the first trivia question of the week. Or as it will be referred to this week, the Triva question of the week. We're going really easy. I'm going to give you a little bit of a layup and some help on this one because it is the very first one. So the trivia question of the week is, in Bill Wilson parlance, what does RTFP mean? And so my help for you is going to be, you should head on over to insurancecommentary.com and go to Bill's, I guess he calls it a newsletter. you can sign up while you're there. You don't have to. But if you parse some of his writings, you'll find out what RTFP means. Definitely put it in the comments, and we will find some way to get some swag. We don't have anything official, but like maybe some CPCU stuff or something like that. I'm pretty sure I have some New Jersey chapter stuff sitting around. But put the answer in the comments. A reminder, there's no profanity, okay, in what RTFP means. Just remember that, okay? I've given you a lot of help. Like, I've pretty much just kind of given you the answer. But please put the answer in the comments, and we will take someone who randomly answers the question correctly and get them some swag or some other leave behind kind of stuff so that you can kind of like deck out your desk, home office, whatever. So that being said, I've gotten through that train wreck.
And bragging rights. Let's not overlook that. To be the first trivia winner for our first, inaugural run, that's bragging right material.
That is very true. That's like the first person off the ship when it's going down. Or maybe the first person on the ship. We'll go with that one. That's a little bit better.
And they will be the only winner of the trivia segment.
Exactly. That is true. It will be. I should NFT this, and it should be like a unique thing. You'll be the only trivia question of the week winner. Everyone else will be, basically just a trivia question of the week winner. So like you'll have that to kind of.
It's kind of like when they jump the gun and they print the championship shirts.
Yeah.
Does such make it to the Super Bowl? I don't remember that game.
Doesn't that word have an extra I in it? I'm not sure.
I'm just sitting back here going, I is for insurance. It's sometimes a little hidden in there.
and added, okay, whether you get the question correct or not, also tell us in the comments whether you want it to stay the trivia question of the week. I mean, that could always be. I can think up an anagram for TRIVA. So
hey, that would be a unique hashtag. I guarantee you. That's not trending anywhere else. Like, we could own that space.
There is a dysfunctional bunch of humans that will most definitely glom onto that hashtag. I'll tell you that much. So that was the first trivia question of the week. And now, as promised at the beginning of the episode, I get to grill Heather and Precious about InterRisk. And this is going to be our first champion profile. All right, lay it on me. How much did I miss out? How many people went to InterRisk this year?
I think there was.
Hold on, wait a minute. Hold on, wait. What? We got to Slink the dog sighting.
Hey, well, InterRisk was held in that magic little place called Disney. So we're not affiliated with them at all. We're not claiming any rights here or anything. I'm doing all of the disclaimers here at this moment.
We don't get paid by them. Yeah.
But I had to put these on because it was there, and I'm an absolute huge Toy Story fan. You guys know I have a dachshund as well, so this is really, this was the set of Mickey ears or Minnie ears that I needed whenever I went to Disney. So I figured, since we're talking about InterRisk, I should probably put these on for just a moment.
She pulled off like a wardrobe change. I am just.
It's like a quick change act.
The artistry in play here. Oh wow! I'm not worthy. This is I'm outclassed.
Precious, did you bring anything back from Orlando of the Disney or souvenir type that you were especially proud of grabbing?
Nothing that compares to. I'm just speechless right now, so I will let Heather lead with that.
And your dog likes it too.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I've got Chiweenies, and so they heard the Dotson piece and they were here for it. They're like, yes, represent.
Hi, friend. My family collects. We do shot glasses. Well, I do shot glasses, and they
Like the
just
kids too.
watch me pick out a shot glass. But every time we go on vacation, I get a shot glass from the place. A chintzy little. Usually just a paint on kind of shot glass to commemorate it. But that hat is a piece
Everything.
of artwork. I think that's fantastic. I love that. But yeah, so how many people showed up? Like, was it really well attended? I mean, were there a ton of people there, or was it a little sparser than usual?
I remember hearing somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 people were at at the conference in person, and then they
Wow.
had close to 150 online as well.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, it wasn't gigantic, but that made the feel of interest this year be like more like home. We're getting back to the family. We can really connect with people and spend that time and not feel overwhelmed by the number of people that were there.
That's interesting. And so either one of you, like, did you get any sense of, I think you were both in person for all of it. So did you get any sense of how they kind of navigated the in-person and the virtual? I didn't get to do the virtual either. Was there any kind of crossover, or did they kind of run them in parallel?
Well, I will say that, because we had, a good number of the Dallas representation, that came. And so, the physical layout of it, we sat around, round tables the entire time, so that we could have the appropriate amount of spacing between us. The stage, because, kudos, this is my second time, I think, on a Disney property, never been in like the convention center side, of things. And so the property is massive. There was a lot of walking.
Yeah.
Again, I haven't been outside lately, so I'm like, oh man, I just have to put shoes on, walk distances, and with full on outfits, right? I was like, yeah, okay. So no, but I mean, there was, the hallways were nice and wide, the rooms, again, so there was adequate spacing and seating, and so that didn't feel. Now it was a little bit, it was the kind of that reality, right? Because I think about, in conferences past, and that we're, of course, the attendance numbers are probably maybe 4 times that, on average, if we're averaging about 600 this time, and, and I don't know what the restrictions were in terms of the new designees, but my personal take on it, like I didn't see like as many children, for example, present, but that's understandable given in this environment where there's still limitations on, vaccinations and things like that, whereas the new designee reception is normally a family affair. Right. So there were little changes like that. My understanding is, like I said, the keynote things, like you said, those were concurrent. So there was, camera crews, you felt the production folks, there.
Okay.
And of course it was very, what's the word for it? Almost, the jumbo screen feel. So while you're there, you saw the person standing in front, but then you could also watch like the monitors. And I imagine that's what the online experience felt like, was just watching, the monitors. But they did a really dynamic job of, again, panning around, moving around. So it wasn't just your typical, static camera, one view, of it all. And, I've seen some really great, clips and, replays and things, from the conference. So, kudos to them for really giving it that feel where, you aren't the, the one person on speakerphone, feeling like, a couple of years ago, you're like, oh, there's a meeting happening. There's a joke. I didn't hear it. All I hear is static because somebody's typing. And I can't hear what's happening. It really felt on par with, being in person. Now, of course, the highlight, was the, some of obviously like the conversations like around the breakfast table, things like that. But at the same time, if you're multitasking, I mean, like I said, there's always going to be a little bit of a trade-off. You really can't duplicate that 100%. I don't know what was done, if they had any online networking, breakout room, opportunities. Do you know, Heather, if they did anything like that?
They had like the conversation cafes that they did last year with the whole totally virtual event with Interest last year. And those were the real like engagement points for everyone that was involved in the virtual event. Otherwise it was, they gave the feel of being part of the in-person event by the panning around with the camera and sharing those experiences and everything. But it was a little different in that virtual world this year for everyone, from what I've heard. But content-wise, like the delivery of content was always on and always there. I heard from some of the people, because I think someone from my chapter on my board was actually involved in one of the conversation cafes, and she said that really was awesome, and she led it. But she was at the actual event and led the conversation cafe
Oh, very cool.
there. So she was able to kind of give perspective on all of that. And, hiccups always happen in the virtual world. I mean, people typing and, all those other things that may happen. But it was very, very well done to do the best that you can to blend the experiences for people. But I will say that there's still like road to pave there, because they can blaze a trail with how they did it this year, and if that's a plan again for next year as well. There's been a lot of great feedback that's been provided from people who both attended the virtual or the in-person event, and how those worlds can collide a little bit more, just like we're doing in the show here right now. So I think that, things can always get better. You can always improve on them. But overall, I would say the hybrid style experience that they were able to offer, once again, for the CPCU Society, as it usually is, was top notch.
I love to hear that. That's so sneak peek next year. I think New Jersey's I-Day. We're going to try and be mostly hybrid. And we're going to try and be like as hybrid as possible. So that's going to include, someone manning as an actual virtual participant, but being in the room, and kind of relaying that conversation that's happening virtually to the people in the actual in the room as the part of the in-person. So that's going to be an experiment. We've already done a little bit of kind of like remote led seminars, but that's going to be now, the next level is how do we get that interactivity aspect of it between the in-person and the virtual attendees. So that's going to be fun to kind of navigate it, and also challenging, which is going to be fantastic. So
once again, going to blaze a trail there, Matt.
Look, hey, we hit the accelerator until we hit the wall is basically the way it goes. What was y'all's favorite one or two sessions that you attended, or didn't have to necessarily be a seminar, but whether it was the keynote or one of the talks or something like that? What were you guys' one or two favorite sessions that you went to?
I don't know. Keynotes for me were just, all of them were dynamic, but I was especially struck by Gregory Offner. He was a piano man, and he had an incredible story where he was like a dueling piano bar player, basically, who sang and everything. Yeah. And he lost his voice.
Wow.
And had to go through this whole life experience of adjusting to that. Just amazing insight into resiliency, recovery, adaptation, and just a lot of really cool advice to how that is the skill set that is needed in the insurance industry today. Leaders are not looking for people as much. Now, technical skill is incredibly important to our industry, but leaders are not looking so much at that. But your highlight skill needs to be your ability to be able to be resilient and adapt and change. And how you demonstrate that can be very, very different for each individual. I took a whole lot away from him, and like, I have to say, give him a huge shout out. Like, he connected with me on Twitter and was re-liking all my posts. We're like buddies on LinkedIn now too. So appreciate his connection and the fact that he was willing to reach out of that speaker space and connect with the audience in that way.
Love that.
Yeah, I
Love that.
concur. I mean, his presentation was amazing, and he's an insurance professional, and so that was the thing. It wasn't just like a parallel, example to it, but he, comes from the broker world, so he
Mhm.
understood, the assignment, and definitely delivered on it. I was caught off guard with like, so towards the end, he was taking like, requests because again, dueling piano, he can just play. He's got his repertoire stuff that he could just play on the spot, and he had shared this song that I think he said he I don't even remember who the artist was or the specific song, but it was kind of, parenthood related. And I teared up a little bit. So I was like, I'm so glad the lights are low because I'm like legit like crying listening to this beautiful song. So, that was amazing. Now, me personally, like I have been a huge fan of Carla Harris for years.
Yeah.
She's probably one of my top three favorite all time like TEDx, presenters. And so I was having kind of a fangirl moment. I think being in the room, you're like, it's her, it's really her, it's really, really her. And she's absolutely, as dynamic as, it was like everything, that I came for. So a lot of the messaging, in her very, again, the showing up authentically, like we don't have to like hide pieces of ourselves, in order to, still be effective and still,
Mhm.
win deals, right? So she was talking about, she's a singer, and she also sang for, it's very musical this go around. I don't know if it's because we're in Disney that we just had a lot of the show tunes happening, but it was phenomenal. So the whole time everyone's like, man, she's awesome. Like, I know. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't new to me. So yeah, there was so much content. And then also, shout out, I don't know if he's Central Illinois. But Dr. Brad. So I had a chance to connect with him. I sat in on his session on followership, which I thought was a really interesting presentation. I think a lot of times as insurance leaders, that we're more drawn to those presentations that are kind of, focused on what we can do better or different or, for the folks that work with us. But being able to identify the types of people that are, directly report to you,
Mm.
and how do you pull out of them and how do you get them to really, lean into, and just kind of, that angle was really special, I think to kind of to hear it from that side of it. And then bonus points, right? I always joke about extra innings. My husband's a baseball fan. So I just came from the CLM Focus Conference in Chicago,
Mhm.
and he was also on the panel there. And so I got a chance to connect with him again. I told him, I'm totally not stalking you, right?
Yeah.
I'm not traveling from city to city, right? Just to follow, um, but yeah, shout out to, again, that opportunity that we have, in the CPCU Society. So CLM, is part of the institutes now. And
Mhm.
to become a fellow is free of charge. If you are in a risk management role, a claims handling role, litigation, of course, you can register. And so they have, again, discounts for, membership. So being a CLM fellow is membership. And so I love to just be part of wherever the conversations are happening.
Mm.
So if that's not something that you've plugged into, again, you're leaving benefits on the table. But yeah, so, he was really impressive and I'm super excited about, connecting with him and really hearing like his take on, kind of some of the things he does as an academic and where that kind of intersects with, the insurance industry in the more traditional sense that most of us experience it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Dr. Gronke's from Chicago, actually. So
Okay.
yeah, he's going to be with the Chicago chapter up there. And I'll just tag into what you talked about with Carla because she was another one that really knocked my socks off because she said a phrase that stuck with me. And I mentioned it in my article as well. Create clarity when you cannot see. That's what leaders do.
Mm.
And I think that is what we have generated with shows like this. We didn't know where we were going with this. It's Matt's wild idea, and he's running over here, until he runs into a wall, basically. And I will have to say that it is that piece of what she had to say just stuck with me. And I will throw a shout out as well to Tracy Adadaji. Her colorblind discussion,
Mm.
it moved me, and I was in tears at part of it because it just, um she is such a way and such a knack with storytelling,
Mm.
to be able to deliver a really, really tough message for people to be able to listen to. So shout out to her. If you have not hit her up for a chapter I day that you have not planned yet, or maybe for next year, Tracy will bring it for you.
She will be at Dallas.
Oh.
She's our program. And of course, I'm so excited because I had the pleasure of speaking at Alamo's I Day earlier, and Tracy was part of that as well. So I kind of had a preview. I got to watch it there. She did, adjust it for, the in-person experience, but
Mm.
still just spot on. And just comes from a place of just genuine, this is designed to make you uncomfortable. If it
Yeah.
weren't, we really wouldn't be, kind of getting to the issue at hand that has to happen, these crucial conversations. So she is phenomenal. So yes, she will be at the Dallas program, and reach out to her because she's amazing.
I can also say that Tracy is CPCU through and through. She was in Jersey, I think, visiting family or something like that a couple years back for the holidays. And she's like, Jersey CPCU, like, what's going on? Where are we going for drinks? And we're going to hang out and all kinds of other stuff. And it was one of those things where, like, you couldn't say no. You just, like, she was like, you're showing up, and just pick the place, and I'll buy you a round. So that was fantastic. She's an awesome person, so I love to hear
And
that.
she had her family present. So her mother and two of her daughters were there with her as she gave the presentation, which was another one of those moments that made it even that much more, special. So you missed it. I don't know what to say, Matt.
I'm not going to get it back, but luckily enough, I know a couple of people that I can live vicariously through.
Absolutely.
So, very important question. How was the food? And I haven't seen any tweets from Paul Rosner about awful chicken. So,
Paul was not
was
in
the food?
attendance.
Yeah,
He was not there, but I'm pretty sure he had the lowdown on the food situation. But how was the food for the event?
I mean, I thought it was great. I mean, there was opportunities like inside the conference, but then of course, if you wanted to venture out in the evenings and everything, the property that we stayed on, once again, was a marathon to walk places. I think because I did stay some extra time because my husband and I did a little mini vacation around it as well. We were in Orlando for 7 days, and I walked 56 miles in 7 days.
Wow.
And I think my legs are still recovering from that even today. But they were like, oh my gosh. So, and I know there's people that do like 56 miles a week or whatever, and it's just that's not my life. But the food on the property, like there were some cool little restaurants. There was one like in the middle of the little lagoon that you could check out at night. Breakfast was great. They had a cool like breakfast like buffet kind of thing that was very safe. They were very careful about people approaching it, and keeping people kind of apart because they had it kind of stationed out to where a bunch of people weren't like crowding into one place. The food options were good. I think that the claims interest group was able to get together one evening and I cannot think of the name. It was the restaurant that was on the very top floor of the hotel, and it was a really cool, awesome view from that particular restaurant at night. And amazing.
You can see the fireworks from that top floor, so that was amazing.
Yeah, so that was super cool. It was. Like I said, hot Florida sun, and sometimes you don't really feel like eating some of the time because you're like, I think my blood's thickened, though. I live up north now, and I'm like, I'm dying out here when I'm walking outside. I used to not
Look, I am in Texas by way of Louisiana, and it was humid. It was a hot one. So no, that you did not imagine that. That's not just your time away from being down this low. It was hot. So to Heather's point, being on property, there were multiple dining options. There was kind of like a grab and go mercado thing, that you had access to. There was another restaurant there that was more kind of sports bar ish, by nature. So it kind of had, it wasn't wasn't an expansive menu, but again, it was sit down, table service. There was a coffee shop, there's a gift shop. So there were different things, so that you could, if you decided to, especially for the after hour meals, right, where we're on our own for like dinners. A couple things that feedback that I received, and I said I would pass it along whenever I got a chance to. One of the members that was traveling with our Dallas group, can't have dairy, right? So there was like a fish option that was served, I think, at one of the meals, but it was covered in some sort of cream sauce. And so, in terms of, soliciting that feedback with dietary restrictions, it's really hard to execute on that when you do a buffet style, because there's just so many different, sensitivities. And so, this particular, member from our group just, went, had to, kind of source, meals elsewhere, which sometimes can be cost prohibitive, right? So, we have to just be mindful, about little things like that. But I do think, again, receiving feedback from prior conferences, it wasn't just like finger sandwiches and salads, it was more, it was a more substantial meal than I think we, saw like in New Orleans, for example.
Sure.
So yeah, so like I said, overall, there was enough variety where you can kind of, customize it to your liking. But again, being on a Disney property, even those dining options are going to be more, it's not like when we were in New Orleans where you just went completely off property, and it was convenient to do so, because we were kind of bound by, is it really shuttle worthy? Or do I just pay the extra $3,
Yeah.
And customize the sandwich? So yeah.
And I can say, as someone who shares that restriction and then some, Disney was, so we actually, the last like full-fledged vacation my family did was to Disney. And again, different world, but sometimes you can like, and maybe this was already tried, but so I would say like feedback for people in the past, like just ask, because sometimes they'll bring you like a full-on separate meal because they understand like what those restrictions are. So sometimes you just have to like grab someone and be like, hey, do you have like a vegetarian or a vegan option, for this? And sometimes they'll be like, no, sorry. Or like maybe they'll try and like work on something that's already there. Or sometimes they just run in the back and they'll be like, give me 5 minutes. And they come back 5 minutes later and it's like, some completely different, amazing looking dish. So that's actually my secret for, I know this is a sore spot for someone like Paul who doesn't like rubber chicken at conventions and stuff like that. But that's actually was always my secret before I even stopped eating meat and dairy. Was whenever I would go to these conventions or sit down kind of like functions, I would always ask for like the vegan or the vegetarian option because I knew it was fresh made. It wasn't sitting under a heat lamp for like 30 minutes at a time. So little life hack, #life hack. If you're going to some of these events.
When they have the snacks and things set up like between sessions, they had fruit, they had fresh fruit. It wasn't all like super salted, like, there were chips and things like that, but they also had like kind bars, so there was definitely, more variety there, that I appreciated. But there's always it's so hard in a conference environment, to kind of anticipate and cater to. And so, your point is valid, raising it, I think that they would much prefer to, provide that experience versus just have someone walk away underwhelmed, because I always have to, again, with all the varying things, the tightropes that we walk, sometimes for me, it's a handoff between, the if the low sugar option is carbonated or caffeinated, then those are more decisions that I have to make. But again, I adapt to that. I kind of anticipate that going into it, and so normally I kind of bring things, right. And so like I carried my backpack throughout because once I gauged the distance between where we stayed and where the conference was, and this year was different for me. This was the first year that I went as an entrepreneur, right. And so I had to be, kind of tethered, and so I felt awful because I think it was the very last keynote, I had to walk out of the room because I had a client who was experiencing a loss and I had to kind of coach them through that. And so I'm just kind of like, still on duty. What are you going to
Yeah.
do? You know?
Yep.
But no, I mean, I think, again, they provided, ground transportation. So, the shuttles, now that was the one, I think Brett Clausen, when we had our, the CPCU happy hour, like the weekend, the Friday before into Risk. And he was like, so, again, we just have to be, just because you tested negative, I mean, we still have to take precautions, right?
Mhm.
And I think while you're in the conference and you're surrounded by people that have, gone through the necessary steps, to prepare to come out. But to be perfectly transparent, when we went to Universal, and we were just amongst the crowd, the people, and it was an overwhelming moment,
Mhm.
where it's just like, okay, well, everyone that I'm in, proximity with, but that's not unlike real life, right?
Yeah.
And so you just have to still, do what you're comfortable, avoid what takes you beyond, that threshold, and everyone's is different, ever changing, I would
Yep.
say.
I did
So yeah.
I did appreciate, Precious, that like the main event for that was outdoors.
Yes.
Like on the city walk
Agreed.
area and everything. So if you didn't feel like you wanted to go inside and do the karaoke like a lot of people did that I got to hear about and everything, it was fine.
Mhm.
You could stay outside and they had an area, but there was a lot of people there, obviously.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it can get a little overwhelming with crowds. I've realized that that's something about me that I've got to learn again. Like I'm introducing myself into crowd situations and feeling comfort level there. But overall, safety wise, and I mean, there was hand sanitizer everywhere. They were very careful about making sure people
Oh,
were.
and they had guides for us.
Yeah,
So, like, after you got
yeah,
off the bus, like every so many feet, there was someone holding like a CPCU sign with an
yeah.
arrow, so that you knew how to get back to somewhere. So
You didn't
that
get
that was
lost in the
fantastic.
crowd. Yeah.
Yes. So leave no
That's
man
fun.
behind.
Yeah. I don't want to run too long. It's our first episode. But the last question I have is something that I think is probably at the heart of what is so amazing about these events. And it's that was it just the same old faces that you guys saw, back in New Orleans or at events past? Or was there a mixture of, the people that you already knew and had relationships with, and enough of those new faces to build new relationships and network with, and new designees that were green and just off the new designee path, so to speak, where there's enough of those kind of like randos in the mix where you could kind of like network and really get something brand new out of that environment?
Yeah, I will definitely say it was a good mix of both the what you like to call the guard, I guess,
Yeah.
the standing regulars like Tony Cañas and everybody that you always
your
see
your
at
usual table, Mr. Conyas.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the concierge
And shout out to
service.
Tony's top hat.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Never miss if I didn't
he had
talk
the
about his
top hat
custom.
going. He had
Yes.
he's let
Red
his hair
jacket,
all
top hat.
grow out, red jacket and everything, and the shoes, and I mean it was great, and that I got the sense that the focus on the college students was amazing because they were like brought to the forefront. Like this is your time to be able to engage with this group that can help you so tremendously as you
Mhm.
start your careers in risk management and insurance. They were definitely brought to the front, and I have like tons of new LinkedIn connections of people that I had not met before, and got to make all those reconnections with people that I love to see because they're part of my family. So
Love to hear
No,
that.
one
Love it.
suggestion that I would, I don't know who even to surface this to. It would be awesome that if, while we registered, if we provided our LinkedIn profile for them to have our QR code on the badge somewhere.
Mm.
That would be awesome because, again, depending on how unique or differently spelled your name is and trying to search and you're like, which one, what's your picture look like to make sure I'm reaching out to the right person. I know at some point, this is more of a LinkedIn thing than a CPCU thing, but they had that capability that was almost like Bluetooth enabled where you can kind of broadcast if you wanted to be discoverable. I think they've done away with that. I didn't see where that was an option this time around, but the QR codes, I think, are what everyone's going towards now. now. But to have that hard printed on a badge would be amazing. That way you can just flip it around and let someone scan you. Or as I told them, collect you like Pokemon. That's what I tell them whenever I don't know last time I had business cards printed. I was like, nope, let me capture your essence. We will be in touch. Thank you for that.
Well, I forget if I've shown you both. I have an RFID business card that you can actually just use the wireless charging capabilities with a newer phone. It was a little hit or miss when I had to wait for the phone refreshment cycle. So some people who still had like the older smartphones didn't really work with. But you guys probably already know this because you're like LinkedIn ninjas. But anyone who watches this or listens that hasn't seen this, on your LinkedIn feed, hopefully my camera picks this up. It's a little bright. But at the very top, there we go. At the very top, there's like your search bar on your phone, and there's like a little square right there in the search bar. If you click on that, it will actually bring up,
Yep.
There we go. It will bring up your personal QR code. But I think that is awesome feedback, Precious, because just the ability, I mean, like half the people are walking around the convention, like looking, down wherever your placard is or whatever that you're wearing around your neck anyway, to see your name. That would be an awesome little gimme or addition to be able to just kind of like take a camera phone picture of their QR code and immediately connect with their LinkedIn. I think that's awesome.
Because I tell you what, I think that QR codes got a second wind with the pandemic because a lot of the menus when you go places now have kind of gone to that versus having to hand them out and sanitize them or whatnot. So, just leveraging, those sort of things. Or again, QR codes for some of the, things that are shared because I think I did maybe one or two presentations where they kind of mentioned like, hey, if you want the slides, grab the QR code. And you can do that instead of wanting, because you inevitably always have that one person who's like trying to take pictures of the deck and you're like, it'll be made available to you or there's a way, to get it. So no, but I mean,
that would be me. It's because I'm live tweeting it. Don't worry.
Okay, exactly. Right. But no, I think that, to Heather's point, I know a couple of the students, I was having a like impromptu, really spirited discussion in the hallway. And she just kind of walked over and was like, hey, like, I just wanted to introduce myself. Like, I want to be a part of this. Like, whatever's going on here, like, let's connect. And, and I told, I gave feedback, as well, to Dr. Jones that, hey, she was really, just, proactive about connecting. So I love that, the energy where people are looking to plug it. And the same thing with the new designees, because that's the beauty of our, into risk, this is about, connecting. This is really that engagement point that especially as chapter leaders, I think is so important, not just for our enrichment to go and not just for us to connect with one another, which is also phenomenal, but to really drive home that this isn't the destination, this is the beginning, right? You're here, you're celebrating, but let's make it attractive enough where you want to come back for more, of this. So I guess what made this different for me than some of the other conferences I went to is that I am boring and old and going to bed on time is necessary for me, but it was that feeling of like not wanting it to end. And so you're laughing, but like for real, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like a college kid again, man. I'm over here trying to pull off this like all-nighter. I said good night at like 2 a.m. and I got to be there at like the 7:45 breakfast. You're like, where are my eye drops? Because you didn't want to. It was just like you would be in a group and then the conversation would pivot and you're like, oh wait, I want to hear that too. Can you guys hop on a Zoom so I can listen from my room? But the beauty is we don't have to say goodbye, so the connections, last. And it was so funny. So my Mike K moment, right? Of course, same thing I saw him. I was like, yes, we are like overdue a conversation. We totally need to grab time. But then I was like, again, he is our like treasure, right? He's our gem. And so you want him to be out there, connecting so everyone kind of gets a sense of who he is and how amazing he is. And so like the very, very last night, he was like, we never got to grab a, coffee or sit down and talk. And I told him, I said, Mike, the beautiful thing is I don't have to be in Orlando to talk to you. I already have
That's
that
true.
connection. So
Yeah.
rather than, monopolizing the time of all the wonderful folks that I already know, I challenge myself, hey, I want to sit with somebody. I want to learn somebody else's, kind of story, how they got here, pull them into the fold. And so that's how we, especially again, in line with this new model for membership, I don't like, and I've heard that feedback in the past, right? That sometimes it feels like there's an inside track, right? And so we have to be very inclusive and intentional so that
Yeah.
everyone feels like they're a part of it. And part of what was happening this year as well is there was a lot of chapter leadership that wasn't present because of the pandemic.
Mm.
And so I'm team Texas, like, Judith Smalls, who's the, Houston, chapter president, wasn't able to attend. I think her company may still have travel restrictions, but anyhow, every time we saw, a Houston new designee, we're like, come with, right?
Mm.
They're not here, but we're going to, step into that so that you don't feel, like you're not included because you don't have your local leadership here. So there's so
Yeah.
much opportunity for us to do that, even beyond this conference. So those are the takeaways that I hope that, we don't, that they don't go away, even if we don't have to do things this way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Anything we can do to make the organization less cliquish, right, is a huge, it's really easy to fall into like, these are my, 12 people that I know really well and I see them all the time and it's comfortable because we can just kind of like, again, it goes back to that, like new networking event versus like the old hat networking event where you can just like sit down and shoot the breeze with people. You have to step outside the comfort zone and like find a new person and like hear their story and then be like, oh, have you met Mike K? and drag them over to Mike because once Mike gets them, they're in. I mean, like it's just, he's like he's the CPCU closer is what he is. But no, look, I want to say thank you for letting me live vicariously through both of your experiences with InterRisk. I'm totally jealous of that hat, Heather. If they had like a Buzz Lightyear one or something like that, I'd be all over that. But so this is the end of the first episode. We're back, baby. We're back.
Yes.
So I should have said this at the beginning, but if you've made it this far, hopefully you have, make sure when this comes out, like, comment, subscribe. Definitely, hit the notification bell or throw on notifications depending on which platform you're watching this on. And we are going to be doing a bunch more of these with some awesome freaking people that we have coming up to interview. And as always, talking current events and news and CPCU, just nerding out on CPCU stuff and insurance industry stuff. So with that, any final comments?
No, I would just say challenge for growth there was thrown out by Precious. And I so appreciate that because InterRisk is that opportunity to be able to grow, but the CPCU Society gives you that opportunity regularly in your inbox, in everything that you can join, and learn how you can include other people and not stay in that cliquish style world that really doesn't work anymore, so excited to see where we're going to take all of this. I am so happy that we're back. I've been like taking all day through crazy meetings and just looking forward to this moment. So I love it. And I love both of you guys too. This has been fantastic.
Ditto. Final comments, Precious?
No, same. I just love that no one has a monopoly on how to do the CPCU thing, right? And so anytime we're able to come together and share, experiences, best practices, you see what's working well in other places, this is it, And so I absolutely, concur. I adore you guys, so to be back and to have this time and to share this, right? Because these are basically the conversations that we've had, for years amongst each other. And And so we're inviting folks in. We're like, hey, grab your favorite beverage, grab a snack, come join us, and this is the part where you figure out how to put where the rubber meets the road. Like, okay, you've gotten through the curriculum, you've gone and you've done all the official steps, but this is really where you figure out how to customize it. And this is where, again, you kind of have the moment I fell in love moment. So that's what we're hoping for. This is Sparks, baby. We're here to make sparks, and you guys are fantastic. So yeah, looking forward to more.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I can't say anything better than that. So this is the end of the first episode, and we will see you next time, champions. Peace.
I think these videos are brilliant, and I'm sure you will like them too. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell.